what are local service ads, you may be asking? So local service ads are a pay-per-lead type model from Google. Here, instead of paying for the clicks, like on a regular search ad, you'll be paying for an actual lead, which would be somebody calling you or messaging you through this profile. So as you can see here, I have an example for personal injury lawyer near Port Washington, New York. This top section, these are what are known as local service ads. So you can see that they come before almost everything on the search engine results page. So they come before the map section, the organic section, and the standard search text ad section. So if I scroll up here a little bit and click into this, we will see a long list of personal injury attorneys near Port Washington, New York. So with the local service ads, part of the process of signing up means becoming Google screened or Google guaranteed. For attorneys specifically, we have to go through the screening process for Google, which is background and licenses checked. We do not have to go through the Google guaranteed process. So with this, you can see that these attorneys are all paying for ads. If I keep scrolling, we will get to a section where it says other personal injury lawyers. Here, more personal injury lawyers. And these attorneys, they set up a free profile, which I and myself at Omnizant all recommend doing. It's a free profile, you get your name up there. The chances of somebody calling you from this profile, if you're doing a free one, is slim to none, but it is good to have, and it is good to have just in case down the line you do want to run ads. And I say the chances of them calling you are slim to none just because you could see how long it took me to scroll to get to the bottom of this. But that doesn't mean that if there was less competition, that your profile wouldn't show up further up on this page. So these are free profiles, and these are all the ads. So you might be wondering, well, okay, Erica, what determines the ad placement? Why are these three people at the top ranking higher than me? So a few things go into the ranking of these local service ads. That is one, being Google screened. So as long as you're Google screened, that helps with your rankings. That doesn't really apply to law firms because you have to be Google screened to run these as an attorney, but for other categories or for other jobs. Another thing that goes into the rankings is where you're physically located when you're doing this search. So just like the map listing in Google, these local service ads kind of go off that. And if your IP address is closer to his law firm rather than, the law office of Cohen and Jaff, he will show up prior to the Cohen and Jaff profile. Another thing to consider is the number of reviews. So more reviews you have, and obviously a higher rating, so 5 stars, the more likely that your ad will show up at the top. Another thing to keep in mind, as you can see here, Martin has 5 stars for 5 reviews, which is great, but Law Office of Senny Popat has 5 stars for 364. So you would think that he would come up first. We can see that the location here is a little bit different. So my IP address when doing this search may have been closer to Martin than it is to the Law Office of Senny Popat. Another thing to look at is the years in business. Martin has 28 and the Law Office of Senny has 11, so that is another ranking factor, as well as budget. So the more budget you have, the more willing you are to pay for a lead, the higher up you will rank. Another ranking factor is also being responsive. So for example, if you have your profile set up, your Google screened, despite, the location and the number of reviews, the years in business, if you get a call, get a new lead coming in, or a new message from these profiles, and you don't respond in a timely manner, Google will not give you a penalty, but start to slowly put you down on this list. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you aren't staffed, 24/7, don't put your hours for 24/7 because the more likely you are to not pick up calls or answer messages, the less likely you will rank in a high position. So that's local service ads for attorneys specifically. As I mentioned before, you have to be Google screened to run these types of ads. You do not have to be Google guaranteed. So what Google guaranteed is, I will pull up an example for a plumber near Port Washington. You can see right here. Mr. Reuter Plumbing of Southeast WI is Google guaranteed. So that means that if something happened when I called for his service, for example, and he didn't show up, but I paid for it, or he showed up, I paid, and he did a horrible job, Google will refund me that money. Like I said, that is not for attorneys, so we do not need to worry about that. So local service ads has its perks. Obviously, like I mentioned before, it comes up at the top of the Google search engine results page. It is effective if you have, one, the budget to be able to put behind it, and two, if you have a lot of reviews for a high quality score. Those two things I would definitely recommend, trying these ads out. If you don't, maybe wait a little bit and just set up your free profile. And with the budget, like I mentioned before, it really depends on competition. So we would be more willing to recommend local service ads for somebody in a lower competition area. So maybe, for example, instead of personal injury lawyers in Port Washington, New York, something like an estate planning attorney in Missouri. So with that, you might have a lower budget and still get high quality leads. And those are local service ads.